I got nada on screens 1 and 2, route Nordic IV through to me. Said the boss, Major Jack Bruce. Bruce was known was his unflappable coolness, do it now. Webby, not next 4th of goddamn July, both terminals have gone AWOL on me. Major, get that uplink back for me, please, I am on it. Boss, asterisk 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 asterisk. Jeanette passed the IMR results across to her son. He looked at the images intently for a moment. The hand ran through his hair. Do you see it? His mother asked. Yes. I see something here, at the back of what I assume is my throat. So I was right, you were. Do you have any feelings about what it is? Dr. Daniels was concerned. It was no help to her to know that the latest surgical techniques could remove virtually anything from anywhere in the body without serious inconvenience to the patient. And this was not likely to be a malign tumor. Not in a 15-year-old boy. And even it were, the genetic therapy techniques developed over the last 10 years, since the completion of the Human Genome Project in 2003. Now ensured an almost 100% recovery rate for cancer victims. Asterisk 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 asterisk. An iris door opened in the enormous barrel hull of Nordic IV. Huge solar-paneled antennae shifted slightly to maximize solar exposure and maintain normal energy levels. But the secondary power source, a nuclear one, began to kick in, something which was not supposed to happen unless the United States, or its allies, were under attack from a nuclear missile. From the open portal in the barrel hull slid the apparatus which would enable the weapon to fire. Major Jack Bruce keyed commands into his console, to no effect. "Goddamn flaky system," muttered Webster. "This is the second time in about 2 weeks this has happened." It's in the duty log. Bruce's left hand reached for the red phone at the side of the desk while his right continued to press enter to no effect. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Yes, replied Mark, I have a feeling about what it is. I think it's organic. Yes, the IMR makes that clear. Something inorganic, metallic, say, would show up differently, but it has these strands, like wires, going up here. Where are they going? Your growth, if that's what it is situated just below the frontal sinus and seems to project into the olfactory bulb, the bit that gives me a sense of smell. And from there, to the brain, right. The olfactory bulb is actually a part of the brain, the only part you don't need major surgery to reach. Mark put the Mr. image on the desk and stood up. Right now I am starting to get a bad feeling about this. Mark's voice lost his warmth. Jeanette frowned. Mark had a way of communicating his bad feelings to others. She rose and went to the window, without knowing why. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The beam weapon charged up in seconds. Nordic IV was absolute state-of-the-art in particle beam technology. The grandson of Star Wars had been given fresh impetus in the early 21st century, and its development moved into high gear with the arrival of the Soros. Every possibility had to be explored to ensure Earth was not about to fall victim to an alien invasion. No fewer than 7 beam weapons existed, 3 of them in perpetual geostationary orbit above McIntyre's field. Nordic IV was one of these. Electronic lenses aligned and focused and verified target. In Cheyenne Mountain control monitors remained blank. Phones were ringing now as backup staff became alert to the condition. The red phone patched not to the president but to Allied Command in Sterling. "Get me General Miller," said Jack Bruce, speaking words he had never wished to say. There was a 3-second delay and a voice 5,000 miles away said, "Miller. What's the problem? Asterisk 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 asterisk." Early Sunday morning in her surgery. Jeanette Daniels looked out at the world from the white-painted Georgian-style surgery windows for the last time. Their house was just 20 meters away. The neighborhood was invariably quiet at this time. She saw Mr. Jarvis a couple of doors down moving to his garage to fetch his lawnmower, to continue his summer Sunday morning ritual. He was a decent sort, had been kind to Jeanette when she first moved here, and remained a good neighbor. Not the nosy sort. "My feelings," said Mark, "have been getting I don't know how to describe it. Sharper, clearer, but more varied. I don't see things, like your usual clairvoyant might. I just sense them. I know them." Dr. Daniels had complete faith in her son. She looked out of the window at the quiet street. Images of John Daniels leapt unbidden to her mind, his flappy old overcoat, his disarming "gee-shucks folks" smile, and she recalled, too, the unstructured, interminable debates which in the last year of his life had made Jeanette doubt her husband's sanity. Mark went on. "This latest thing started, really started, when I went to the Soros Museum a couple of weeks ago." Jeanette tensed. She looked sharply at her son. "The museum. You went there." She moved from the window. Mark met his mother's concerned eyes. "I think I know now," said Mark, "why the museum makes you nervous. It has to do with Dad, DOESNT it. Dad is connected to the museum in some way." Jeanette sighed. "Your father's been dead for 15 years. Mark: "Yes. I know, but there is some connection. You felt it just then and I feel it too." He knew about the Soros. As he said the words he became convinced of their truth. That's it. He knew about the Soros before they came here. Before they even landed. But how could that be? How was that possible? "The Soros," sighed his mother, sitting down beside Mark. "Yes. I wondered if—" Mark stood abruptly, his hands holding his temples. His mother watched his blue eyes lose all focus, like they were staring into a different universe. Mark groaned, and when he looked up his expression chilled her. "Mum, that bad feeling just got worse." He said. "We have to leave here. Get out of this house. Right now." "What is it?" "I am not sure yet. Something bad's about to happen. Here. Very soon." Without further debate they left the examining room and quickly crossed the reception area. Mark paused long enough to hand his mother her wallet that contained not just her money and credit cards, but also her car and door keys. She had left it on the reception desk earlier. Puzzled by his action, she slipped the wallet into a pocket and they moved outside. All was quiet. Mr. Jarvis down the road was wheeling his electric lawnmower out of his garage. He gave them a cheery wave. Somewhere else a dog was barking. Little Lucy Greenwood was dangling a dolly from an upstairs window across the road. A calm, bright summer day. "Into the car, Mum," said Mark. "We have to get away from here. Something terrible is about to happen. We've only got a few minutes." Real fear, the kind that dries your mouth and makes mush of your insides, now meant that Jeanette was not disposed to argue or question. Their 4-year-old silver Hyundai estate was still parked at the curb. They ran now towards it. Quickly they got in. Jeanette hurriedly keyed the ignition. Jeanette, never a slow driver, pushed up to 30 in second gear, swung round the corner towards the dual carriageway, accelerated through the turn, then into third, holding it there until 50 registered on the speedo, and then a more relaxed fourth gear to cruise down Stirling Boulevard at 60. Scotland's Central Belt, that largely flat plain that cuts the country in two, spread out around them. They headed east along the boulevard that would eventually take them to Stirling itself. Stirling Castle rose up out of its volcanic rock to dominate the landscape ahead of them. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The beam generated from Nordic IV could be widened to scorch an area the size of a county or narrowed to focus an intense beam of light onto a space a couple of centimeters square. In this mode it could punch a hole in the ground up to 50 meters deep. The iris narrowed. Asterisk 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 asterisk. The car sped along Stirling Boulevard at 70. Only 3 minutes had passed. Already Jeanette was starting to listen to doubts in her mind. "What sort of danger are we?" Jeanette started to say, but her words were cut off. An eruption of light flashed in car's rear-view mirror, and seconds later a loud explosion blasted the landscape behind them. Jeanette braked the car to a screeching halt and the car swerved over the center line, trailing black skid marks. It stalled and all the dashboard warning lights flashed furiously. In the rear-view mirror, and then through the back window when she turned round, she saw a column of smoke rising from the village they had just left. She could hardly breathe as she asked, "Is that what I think it is?" Mark nodded. His eyes were wide with fear. "It's not Mr. Jarvis's lawnmower, that's for sure." But no irony could hide the deep shock he felt. Both mother and son felt sick. "God. I hope he's all right. I hope they're all right, our house." Jeanette whispered. "You need to drive now, Mum." Mark emphasized the word drive. "We've got to get out of here. Keep driving." But stay on the country roads. Not the motorway. Why? Jeanette asked, as she forced her trembling limbs to get the car going again. I don't know why. Mark replied. I just know they better. The car headed east again. The thin column of smoke dwindled in the distance behind them. 10 minutes ago our lives were ordinary. Said Jeanette, now what's happening to us? What the hell's going on? Mark's eyes were glassy and there was a tremor in his voice as he said. Our lives have never been ordinary. He wondered how he could let Carrie know about what was happening to them. Jeanette's hands tightened on the wheel, knuckles showing white. 7 Logan number 1. He runs his fingers over the interface. The pathways, routes and avenues of the supernet open before his impassive, unblinking gaze. He is a master here. In this cyber world. He has bonded with this world spiritually, he has become it and it has defined him. He finds the particular site. The familiar imagery welcomes him. He keys in the complex passwords. Welcome, Logan. The words appear on the screen, and the computer's synthvox sounds in his ears, but the voice has a deeper, third-dimension quality. It sounds like a gentle reverb inside his head, almost a direct telepathic communication. Logan vaguely wonders if the other League members who have visited this site feel the same effect. Or maybe this heightened perception for that is undoubtedly what it is arises out of the qualities that have made him the chosen leader for this sector. Andrew Logan, 31. Supernet banking clerk for the RBS conglomerate, orphaned since early youth. His parents died in a car crash, single and unattached. All his life he has felt rootless, restless, impelled by a need to matter, to belong, to be embraced by something bigger than himself. Andrew Logan, in the lonely hours of his cyberspace searching, finally came upon a site that offered him salvation from his own pointlessness. He has, over the last couple of years, found the cause that he can devote himself to, a mission worthy of his dedication. He is a commander in the League in Britain. It is not an honor he can, as yet, openly show pride in, and his promotion through the organization was not marked by public ceremony. The League and its activities must remain secret. If his colleagues at the RBS heard of his out-of-hours commitment, he would be the target of sly jokes and sideways, suspicious, ironic glances. The League is not yet viewed by many as seriously as it deserves. No, the time is not yet ripe. But soon, very soon. As if his thoughts are translated from mind to screen, similar ideas appear in the text. The time we have been working for is soon to be upon us. At last. These years of secrecy, training and preparation, they have not been for nothing. The Human Freedom League is about to strike such a blow against the accursed aliens, Logan exults. His pulse quickens and the hollowness in his stomach returns. He keys in his questions and receives replies from a source he has never seen, but which identifies itself as the chairman. Certain turns of phrase from the chairman over the years have led Logan to believe the chairman is from a military background, perhaps someone high up in the army. Someone like Logan, who has no reason to like the alien intruders, and every reason to be suspicious. Logan is no doubt that the aliens intend great evil. They are the advance party of an invasion force, of that he is sure. That is one of the primary beliefs of the League. But now the time is at hand. Logan's full concentration is bent upon the screen and the interface. Around him the shadows of the July day slowly shift, lengthen and deepen. The cappuccino in the cup to his left grows cold. Papers, junk mail, advertising flyers for shopping savers occupy much of his desk space. Some millimeters of dust have settled a gossamer blanket over the untidy bookshelves that spill their contents on the linoleum floor. On the wall opposite the window where he sits, behind Logan's black slicked-back hair, some dark background posters of metal rock bands, Frog's Head Easy, brood and curl away from the weakening blue tack that holds them up. The single bed is cold and unmade. A thin cobweb stretches from lightshade to ceiling. Unseen by Logan, the light from his window traverses the wall behind him as the day grows older. His window, high up in a Stirling tenement building, offers a stirring view over central Scotland. With the aid of binoculars, Logan has, often, been able to scrutinize the alien ship in McIntyre's field. And from this window, though he does not know it, Logan could glimpse the smoke still rising from the mysterious explosion in the respectable little town of Touch. Beside the bed with its rumpled sheets stands a couple of B&Q workbenches surmounted by a variety of drills, sanders, a small lathe, molds, plastic boxes containing a wide variety of tools. Next to this workshop area is a built-in wardrobe. The brown-painted, unobtrusive wardrobe door is closed. Its padlock is stout. What it contains, assembled under the instructions of the chairman, is very dangerous. Very dangerous indeed. 4 men would struggle to lift that wardrobe now, and what it contains. 8 Flight. The Hyundai pulled in to park on the grassy verge of a little used country road that crossed the Ochil Hills. The view to the Campsie Hills in the southwest, and the wilder Perthshire Hills in the north was dramatic. Stirling lay in the valley behind them, out of sight. But the scenery held no interest for Jeanette and Mark. "What the hell is going on?" cried Jeanette. She banged the wheel as fear gave way to anger. "What the hell is going on? Mark. Do you have any idea? I only know this has something to do with the Soros. I really don't know what or why or how, but somehow it all comes down to the aliens, right? Then let us talk about the Soros," Jeanette began. "Recap time. Let us think, the Soros, what do we know about them? Their ship, now called the Museum, landed on Earth, in an ordinary field in central Scotland, 5 years ago, in July 2013. People thought the world had either ended or was about to start afresh. They went wild. It was incredible. You were 10 then, and you were very excited about it. Aliens. Wow, I remember," said Mark, but nothing happened for a whole year. The ship just sat there, an extraterrestrial anticlimax, in McIntyre's field, the most famous field in the world. Nothing came out. Nothing went in. The army cordoned it off. The scientists and experts had their say, but the ship stayed silent. Then, after a year, communication began. The aliens said they were called the Soros. They gave reasons why they had stayed silent for a year. They'd been analyzing our atmosphere, our cultures, our languages. Anyway, they said they were trying to establish a means of communication, because their vocal structures were so different from ours that we would never be able to speak each other's languages. And that year had also given the human race a chance to adjust to the fact that we were no longer alone in the universe. That really took some getting used to. You know, it's funny. Mark. Your dad and I used to watch a lot of science fiction films. Towards the end of the last century there were a whole lot of them. Star Trek. Star Wars, the horrible Aliens series of films. Contact, The X-Files, a whole lot of them to do with alien contact with humans. We used to wonder if it meant some kind of conspiracy to get us ready for real contact. Lots of people thought the millennium would herald in real aliens. You know, I know, all the cranks, the so-called abductees, they all had the time of their lives. Jeanette smiled, but not a happy smile. Mark saw behind the smile. "You rethinking about Dad?" said Mark. "Tell me." Jeanette regarded her son. "You so like him. Your eyes, the way you smile, the way you sometimes read my mind." Suddenly Mark sat upright in his seat. Images, impressions, insights had merged for one moment into another razor-sharp realization. He was an abductee. He breathed. "My dad was one of those who had been abducted. I never knew." Jeanette sat back in her seat, her hands limp in her lap. "Yes," she sighed. "He was, but no one believed him." Mark seemed to be reading words on a page, figuring out their meaning with increasing skill. "You didn't believe him?" "No. That's true. At first. I didn't. Try to understand. Mark. The way John was, I loved him very much, but the things he said sometimes just didn't make sense and there was no proof. No. I didn't believe him." Fresh images were rapidly forming in Mark's mind. Like disjointed scenes from a badly edited film, they flickered across the screen of his mind's eye. His father walking rapidly across a hillside, coat flapping behind him, his mother calling to him to come back, in a car, rain falling, windscreen wipers making noise, his father's face smiling tenderly, his blue, troubled eyes in close-up, as Jeanette had seen them, snowfall on a dazzling blue day, and snowball fights with hands that tingled and later stung when their warmth returned. Dozens, hundreds of images cascaded across his consciousness as he felt himself tap into a record of his parents' life together. He wondered if he were reading his mother's memories. Then rose the image of a needle, a syringe, coming closer, and Mark felt fear rise inside him and he thrust that image away. Mark felt instinctively that this was not one his mother's memories. This one came from some inexplicable source. Mark had never liked needles and he suspected this fearful image might help to tell him why, but he was not ready for this. Not yet. He held that image of the approaching needle firmly at bay. I see a little of how it all fits but I can't see it whole. He said. Mum, it's like I am getting some kind of weird telepathy and there's all this stuff being processed in here. His left hand touched his left temple. But there's something missing. Dad believed aliens abducted him and took him up in their spaceship but he could not have known about the Soros because his abduction took place years before. No, that's not it, I can kinda see wait. They took him to their mothership, which was hiding somewhere. I can't quite see where. Hiding in the sky. Whoa, Mark's mother gripped his shoulder as if to keep him in this world. Those are the same words your father used when he talked about it. Hiding in the sky, he said. How can you possibly know that? No one ever mentioned that to you. I've never mentioned any of this to you. Where are you getting it all from? I don't know, Mum. It's like I am tuned into something. Some creepy broken database, and I can understand stuff, but bits of it are all garbled, tuned into something. Tuned into what for God's sake? Tuned into what? Eyes blue and blank turned to Jeanette. The Soros, Mark replied. Don't ask me to explain it, because I can but I can hear the Soros again. This is what happened to me before at the Soros ship, like I told you before, asterisk 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 asterisk. After a moment Mark grew anxious and Jeanette drove on. They headed north, keeping to quiet B roads where possible. After a few minutes Mark went on. They reusing satellites to track us. In the cities and main roads they can use CCTV and traffic control systems. The Soros are wired into just about everything electronic. Don't switch on our sat-nav system in the car or they'll find us straight away. They used some kind of new American beam weapon satellite to destroy our house. The beam ignited the gas main and that was what caused the explosion. They did it on purpose. They were trying to kill me. They still are. This is just incredible. I can hardly believe this. Mark, after a moment in which Jeanette considered what Mark had said. She had to ask, why would the aliens be concerned about a 15-year-old boy living in a village in the middle of Scotland? I love you more than anything. Mark, but you are just a 15-year-old boy. Jesus, Mark thought for a while. He tapped his head with a finger. Because of this. Whatever is growing inside my head. Mark looked out of the car window as Perthshire trees and fields sped by, and they sat in thoughtful silence until Jeanette slowed for a tractor in front. She said, suddenly, okay. I'll tell you. I'll tell you about John. I met your father in 1998. We were both students at Glasgow University. He was studying biology and went on to teach it in schools for a while. Anyway, we met, and fell in love. He was clever, witty, and utterly charming. I remember my knees used to just go weak the first couple of times we started meeting. Funny. He was a bit taller than you are now. You'll grow yet, you'll be about his height soon. I think. Anyway, in 2001, a few months after we got married, something happened that changed everything for us. What was it? The abduction, yes, sighed Jeanette. John was working in a school in the East End of Glasgow, teaching biology and maths. He left the school one Thursday afternoon and started to drive home. His colleagues saw him get into his car. It was a beat-up old Ford Sierra. I remember, and he was all right. There was nothing untoward or odd about his behavior. Well, that was it. He got as far as a set of traffic lights in Springburn and he just vanished off the face of the planet. And he stayed vanished for 3 weeks, yep. I just about went off my head. The police investigated very thoroughly. I believe they did. You see, John had briefly been a member of a stupid organization called the Tartan Liberation Army, when he was a first-year student. It was nothing serious, of course, and he thought they were a bunch of dopeheads eventually. But they had this scheme to blow up the new Scottish Parliament building in Edinburgh. Its costs were going through the roof, and this group thought that doing a 5th of November would be a just way of saving taxpayers' money. But the point is the police classed them as a terrorist outfit, and because of John's weak connection with them, the police had a file on him as a potential terrorist, and that explained why they were so anxious to locate him. Anyway, to get back to the disappearance. John stayed missing for 3 weeks and there was absolutely no trace of him anywhere. I was just going to pieces. I was on tranquilizers, everything. Then one day, about 3 weeks later, I opened the door to the flat, just heading off to work in the morning, and there's John, naked as a newborn, asleep on the doormat, naked, yep. Naked. Well, I got him inside, and it was like he'd been drugged. He was very thin, like he'd been starved. I took samples of his blood, but there was nothing. And he had no idea where he'd been. He didn't even know what day of the week it was. It was a mystery. So things settled down for a while and seemed to go back to normal, but he still couldn't explain where he'd been. And I believed he was telling the truth when he said that. But then the nightmares started. Oh my God, they were terrible. He'd wake screaming, and I mean screaming, and he'd run around the flat banging on the walls as if they were a prison and holding his head. It went on for about 3 months. He said he kept seeing things, like visions, or waking dreams. Then, eventually, he said he thought he had been abducted by aliens. Of course, he did not call them the Soros. Like you said earlier, he couldn't have known about them, but as soon as they landed I wondered. I wondered if they'd been here. Somewhere, around us, for years. It crossed my mind they might have been scouting around long before they made themselves known to us. Anyway, John used to spend hours on the internet, as it was called then, searching for some explanation as to what had happened to him, and trying to find reason in accounts of others who had shared a similar experience. There were plenty of them. I didn't really believe them, and I am sorry to say I didn't really believe your dad at that point either. Then, about a year after John's abduction, he told me he thought the aliens had implanted something. Something in his head. He thought it was some kind of metallic bug that could read his mind and control his actions. Did you ever do any tests on him, me? No, apart from the blood samples, and they were pretty straightforward. I was just a junior doctor then. Despite what you see in films, doctors can just waltz into a hospital and start firing up the X-ray machines. But he did go for an X-ray. Nothing showed up. I really began to think he was going out of his mind. I really did, but that wasn't the end of it. Said Mark, well no, just before you were born. John was driving us all to see his parents in Ayrshire. Grandma and Grandpa Daniels. You were almost 9 months grown and usually kicking like mad to get out. I remember. Anyway, it started out a stormy night and got worse as we drove. Rain was absolutely battering off the roof of the car. We should never have made that journey, but John, well. John had insisted. I'd not been getting much sleep, because of you kicking and performing your acrobatics inside me, and I was getting more and more worn out. He thought his parents would help to look after me better than he could. He was going to pieces himself, not sleeping. Not eating properly anyway. I'd been asleep in the passenger seat and then woke up. He started to bleed from the nose. I hardly knew what was happening, and this all happened so fast. The blood was very bad, and I was so scared I could hardly think straight. Jeanette was finding it hard to speak. Longer pauses separated her sentences as if she were examining each memory before telling of it. He was screaming and he must have been in terrible pain, but he had the presence of mind to try to slow and stop the car. But Mark. I'd swear the car didn't slow down. I seem to remember John banging the brake pedal with his foot in the seconds before, but nothing happened. He managed to say something about a pain in his eyes, and the car went off the road. Said Mark. Jeanette pulled into a lay-by. Tears, even after all this time, still came, silent and unbidden. I can still see his poor face, and his eyes, they seemed to be looking right at me, as if. Mark put his arm around his mother, who rested her head on his shoulder and wept as she had not wept in 15 years. Asterisk 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 asterisk. A coffee bar in Crieff High Street. The window looked to the north, so the room was in shadow. The menu was simple. Traditional. Tea, coffee, scones, cakes, filled rolls. The waitress was in her mid-40s and couldn't really be bothered working on a Sunday morning. Mark and Jeanette were the only customers. It's funny, Mark remarked. I don't see anything funny right now, given our situation. Jeanette held her coffee cup in both hands as if the warmth could somehow impart a sense of security. Mark went on. Here we are, the human race, in the third millennium, or after 4 million years or so of evolution. We can fly in space, we can cure most diseases, we understand almost completely how life works, we have the most amazing, magical gadgets, we work miracles every day, we do all this and yet there always have to be people who work in coffee bars. Jeanette looked at her son curiously. John used to say similar things. The poor are always with us, but have you noticed how much we take all these things for granted? Jeanette nodded. I've had all this conversation with your father. Mark. 100 years ago the majority of the world lived in the most appalling squalor. Measles, scarlet fever, tuberculosis, polio were all serious killing diseases. If someone had said back then, hey everybody, I can rid the world of these things, he would have been hailed as a savior. Well, hey everybody, we damn near did, and no one really thinks anything about it. No one really gives it a second thought. The waitress approached. Is everything all right? She was only making polite inquiries, part of the shop's customer service plan. Everything's fine, Jeanette replied, and then was conscious of the enormity of her lie. The waitress smiled. Her overall tag identified her as Laura. Some more coffee. Second cup's free. Mark and Jeanette nodded and Laura refilled their cups. Laura returned to the counter and busied herself with restocking some shelves. Mark looked at the window displays. Pictures of the Soros spaceship were on nearly everything. Look at that, he said.